Instagram. I know you can't be seen on there.
Oh, let me scooch over. This one is, I don't know what it's doing.
It freezes up
Oh,
sometimes.
okay, understand. Peace and divine light.
Hello, hola, konnichiwa, salam. Ciao, namaste. Peace to all. This is the Pink Elephant in the Room conversation, and what we're going to be talking about is just the experience of magic and science. Did you want to scoot back because that little line right there, it cuts off right there, and for a while I did not know that.
What line?
This right here. You see?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you see what I mean? that's
I
that's why I'm trying to
see.
give room and everything.
Okay.
Okay.
It's cool.
Um but for what we're talking about, what we're discussing in a sense, just so we get the conversation started, just understanding what they are, understanding the importance of balancing who
Mm-hmm.
you are as a person with these two, because truth is, and you probably have heard this before, if you've ever watched the movie, for example, Thor, or I believe it was Thor the Dark Worlds, there was a statement that was said to them that your magic is our science. And that's really what magic is. The problem is for most of us, it's because it's unknown, it's unexplained. You can't find a way to comprehend how does it work. When you break down and understand it, when you do your research, you understand how that works. Like how energies balance energies to create what they create.
Mm-hmm.
Or for example, people who can lift things up or levitate things, you can understand the science of that being, you got to remember you have a pineal gland and it can come as a rod,
Mm-hmm.
and you can manipulate energy through that pineal gland because you're a soul. The soul can manipulate other energy because it's a part of that energy. But that energy, however, has to be understood. You can't, and I tell people this all the time, this is not some Jedi mind tricks where you can just, ooh, I can lift it and do the force. You have to practice it
Mm-hmm.
because it's like weightlifting, it's like working out your body. If you work it out, you will be healthy. The same for your mind in a sense. If you work it out constantly and consistently, it will be able to do those things.
Right.
The problem with most people is that most do not actually work on that. And before we go and continue, I do want to apologize for you guys. I know we were supposed to have a Saturday show, and I know I didn't give a reminder to you guys out there, because I wanted to make sure that we put this up. I was feeling a little queasy yesterday, and I was not able to do anything at that point in time. But I still wanted to do it. We're still having two of these, so we're having this one, of course, in the morning, and we'll have one later on in the evening for you guys. But did you want to tell your experience?
Not necessarily an experience, just an observation of time. I guess, being in the space of understanding, those type of energies when people come across new concepts of this reality or their perception has changed. We don't necessarily tend to look at it as something as it just being that lesson or that experience within itself. And realizing when we participate in certain energies, we're unaware of what maybe level or dimension that we're operating on within asking a lot of things. And most people petition, requests to, certain entities or deities that they see fit that will service them. And on those levels, understanding who you are, where you're grounded, and where your source actually comes from is most essential when you're participating in a lot of so-called um, magical experiences or tapping into the divine energy of your, spiritual realms. And I would say first and foremost, having connection with ancestors, or if you're aware of your spirit guides, form those type of relationships along with self first before entering into an arena of newness. And it's just out of respect and humbleness to yourself and those around you that when you seek enlightenment in those areas, there's a level of protection towards your innocence in that manner, and not necessarily attacking the ignorance of it. And there's a major difference in going in very prideful and very sure of things that maybe you're not aware of, because all things are having an experience or trying to have an experience, and that can be through the physical and the non-physical energies that exist all together. So just having those basic concepts first, and actually considering what you like and dislike in those realms, and accepting everything is a major gamble within your spiritual life. So I just, ask those to take heed to that, because very much so I come across people that, always like to tell me the interesting things that they're involved in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool, that's what you're dealing with, but are
Understanding both
we
sides to the coin.
right? And being in those spaces where you have a healthy respect for a lot of different energies, it is experience. It is those experience that causes the development of wisdom within self and awareness, because you do not know um, things are hot if you don't know what hot is or cold is, or different type of emotions and energies that we deal with. That's why it's most important to know thyself in all understanding of things, so that you're very aware of your surrounding inner and outer world. So that right there was, pretty much the basis of my participation with that, and just continue a steady pace of consistency, because just like I said, like, we're here to have a human experience. Other things are trying to have a pleasurable experience as well. So
Because we're looking to feed the body, give the body stuff, give it what it
right,
wants,
and
in a sense.
that only serves its purpose to survive here in this dimension. Other than that, we really don't have an existence for this, these suits. But nonetheless, it's just participating in a lot of things that um, are new or unknown, and there's so much level of trust within those things. It's a very scary place to be in, and it's not to invoke fear, but be aware of danger,
Being
nonetheless.
being cautious of the
Yeah.
situation at hand, and that's not only a thing that's individually we do on a higher scale when we talk about, for example, with different military people who work on different crafts and stuff. And there are many species out there that will tell you probably the same thing. You don't know what you're doing, and it's very true, because remember, we're still in a primitive state of understanding. We mess with things without really understanding, but our thought process is to use it for power
Mm-hmm.
of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
instead of being cautious, being understanding, and growing through it. When you are understanding self and growing, even I've had this epiphany of other species, of other beings such as ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
of understanding that they are on their own illusion, they are on their own understanding right now. And it's like the saying goes, they do not know themselves. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. And I mean, it's all good and dandy if you're into that, but you have to understand there are two sides to every coin, and hence why you want to be
Mm-hmm.
very cautious
Mm-hmm.
what you're looking into. You want to observe first, observe everything first before you immediately take action, because uh, just look at our world on how we act, and since we take action first and then observe later, it has caused problems. Observe that by itself, or observe relationships, certain
Mm-hmm.
relationships where people take action first then like observe later. These are all playing, and what I mean by that as examples is the simple fact that through these examples you've caused sometimes your own demise of self that could have been helped or could have been changed. But the problem is, you did not think of that, you did not observe it. And by observing the things that are going on in everyday life with those purposes of magic or science in any sense.
Will continue to manifest themselves and
Exactly.
continue to be in rotation on all things, because what you speak into existence is. So, yeah.
And that's honestly another thing in
Mm-hmm.
itself that, and we made a video on this and touched this, but we'll just give you a little sprinkle of the fact that you have to realize what you think creates everything. If you
Mm-hmm.
are not careful of what you think, and I've stated this, this is why I tell people, think of your first thought, your highest thought, because if you think constantly, like we went over this one day in the car, where I'm sick. You don't want to say I'm sick. You want to say I'm feeling sick, because what you are doing is you are projecting that you will be sick. But if you feel it, you are having the feeling of being sick. It's the same thing with anything else. If you want money or anything, want is a lesser word of what you truly desire. If you are wanting something, you will not get it. You have to choose it. You have to be it. And the same thing goes with magic or science or anything you are creating in your life. You must be. You must choose it, because if you are one who says, for instance, I want to know more about X, Y, and Z, you will not know more about it. It's so simple, but to us it's very complicated because we make things complicated. We're expecting something that there must be something connected to this, to this, to this, that connects to that. And you see how she's not ready? It's nothing like that. It is that simple. Your words play a key role. Your words are your energy. If you do not, if you're not, I mean, look at, again, we've talked about this on Pink Elf in the Room conversation. Money is the root of all evil. And the interesting thing of you saying that is, not only have you believed that money is the root of all evil, you've cut down your trees to their very root with no thought process of how vitally important it is to your environment.
That's a thought, you know.
That's just a thought.
It's just that necessary. So be in consistency with the alchemy of every thought in your consciousness that matters. And if it matters to you, manifest it. If it serves you no purpose, then delete. It's just that simple. It's a constant tennis match for a while. But then when you're in a constant rhythm of that consistency, having that belief system ushers in new thoughts and ideas and replace old habits. And then they filter in a different type of energy. And that's where the factor of so-called leveling up, or, you know, climbing to the next dimension, reach your higher heights and self. So I'm going to stop right there because these computers is glitching. I'm like, yeah.
But we are actually going to stop right here for now. We will talk more about this later. But for you guys out there, just realize you are beautiful. You are amazing. You are divine. You are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within this world and the next.
Yes.
Remember that to know thyself is to know the creator within, who you are. So, to everybody out there, have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.
Dang it, just went